Greetings, Walnut Valley staff. We will be reviewing progress monitoring, submitting an SST referral, and documenting the actual SST meeting in the areas of intervention screens. We will start in Aeries with identifying your student in the top left corner. Once you click on it, then you're going to look at the specific intervention screens. So scrolling down, you are going to look under Guidance, then to Interventions. From step 1 and 2 in the SST process, as noted here, you're going to start progress monitoring that teachers will do for 4 to 6 weeks before submitting the SST referral. That will take place in the Pre-Referral Interventions tab. Click Add New Record. Teachers will begin by adding a detail. The teacher must add the targeted need that is being supported in the Details section first in order to open up these later tasks. So upon opening, the date will be noted, the school will be listed, and in the comments section, the teacher will indicate what specific need is being targeted. In this case, for example, low test scores. The current progress status for the first baseline would be that this needs improvement. The teacher could then, in the progress comment, summarize what the teacher is observing with the student and the need. So here I'm going to summarize. Each school can figure out their data ranges here. Maybe on a 0, 25, 50, 75% scale, or on a 1 to 4 scale. But for this first baseline entry, the indicator score should be 0. Then we will click Save. Anytime a detail window is opened up, you will see what is observed in this right-hand side to the right here. Now we can move on to the Interventions tab, where the teacher clicks on Add New Intervention Code. The teacher would then put the current date, and also the ending date. Typically here we are looking at a 4 to 6 week period. The teacher can then identify multiple supports and interventions that they are providing. So I am going to, for example, select the opportunity to have written instructions and also offer seating near the teacher. The teacher could also add a comment here, especially if you check Other, and then here we would summarize that detail. And then hit Save. During that 4 to 6 week period, you would then also document any parent meetings and contacts in the Parent Meetings and Contacts tab. After you open up the tab, you would indicate Add New Meeting and then indicate the date that this took place. I'm going to say a week later. The type of meeting. This would be a parent phone contact as example, and the person contacted. In this case, I'm going to indicate the mother. And then summarize the details of that phone conversation. Then I would click on the Save icon. And note over on the right hand side, all of the information is now that was input is saved. Now, depending upon the targeted area of need, the teacher will want to go back in on an ongoing basis over that 4 to 6 weeks period and update this. In this case, we would go back to the Details tab, and each time you're entering a progress comment, you will add a new detail. In this situation, I am now going to pretend that it is about a week later. So I'm going to click on a new detail. The date is a week later. Now, hopefully, in this case, my interventions are working for the student, and I could indicate making progress. Then I could summarize any of the progress that I am seeing with this student. And then indicate that there has been a 25% increase. And then I'm going to click Save. Now, moving on to interventions. If there are any additional interventions, I would note that here by noting the date range. And again, I'm going to go to a week later. And then again, that 4 to 6 week observation period. I'm also going to maintain the existing interventions, but also add a small group instruction in addition to my 2 that I had indicated earlier. Again, I'm going to summarize the details for this particular student. Now, once we click Save, note the information now has been updated. A question has been come up that when you are looking at potentially submitting a referral for an SST, it is likely that a student may have more than one area of need. So in that situation, you would add a detail for each specific topic that you are targeting, such as if attorneys are involved. And then you would go through the same ongoing process that I just showed you earlier. Again, teachers document that for 4 to 6 weeks and then determine whether or not the SST referral is needed. If it is, then we would move on to the second tab, the Referrals to Interventions. We would then click Add New Record. This will include the overall referral that is completed and submitted. You can type in the information necessary, such as the person making the request. In this case, it's me. Title, teacher, the date that they were notified, we'll say 2 weeks later. You can also indicate if translation services are needed. In this case, I'm going to include Spanish. Now, here you would want to make sure that you indicated the student's strengths. I'm going to say they are attentive in class, follows instructions, and also identify the reasons for the referral. And again, they were low test scores. You would also, again, indicate any prior interventions that were used during the small group instruction, as well as the written instructions and the seating change. You would click Save, and if you were the coordinator, you would see the referrals approval menu over on the left-hand side that says referrals approval. Aeries would then notify the coordinator by sending an email with a summary of that referral that was submitted. The coordinator would then go in, would look at the current date, and then would either approve or deny that request. So in this case, I'm noting the date, who the student was, the school site, the teacher, translation services, and approve. Here, for the reason for approving, I am going to say meets the need. And then I click OK. From here, we are going to move on utilizing the Interventions tab for documenting the actual meeting. Keep in mind that we have that slide set with step-by-step screenshot for corrections. The intervention details are where we would document that specific need. So here we are going to add a meeting, and we are going to look at the date as well as the dispensation. So once we click New Record, this is the screen that you would see. Under Disposition, we are going to select SST meeting. We are going to indicate the date. So I am going to pick the time, 4 weeks later. We can also indicate the time that this meeting will take place. Again, it's that same date, the time. We'll suggest 1 o'clock in the afternoon. End time, we'll say, not end date, end time. We'll say 3 p.m. approximately. The reason, it's academic. And again, if translation services are needed, I can check that. We already had chosen Spanish. Referred by, say this was another teacher, I am going to list a specific teacher for this student. I'll say Brennan. Then we would go ahead and save. I want to point out one additional tab here, the Stakeholders tab. This is for our school employees, where we can link their email account. And by linking their email account, we can search the name and select their email. So here I am going to add a new record. I'm going to use that referral for that specific teacher, Brennan. Relationship is teacher. Accounting type is Aeries.net. Now, I'm showing you all this in a test database, but if this was in our production database, I could type in Brennan, and this would bring up Brennan from the Aeries list. But since we're in the test database, I have to physically type out the email address. So I'm going to save this. Now, this will automatically indicate to that person that a student is on their list for intervention through school. So as a teacher or administrator or counselor, if they would then go to the Aeries intervention home screen, they would scroll down and would see those individual interventions for that student. Now, looking at this specific SST meeting, there's another area that I want to point out. So at the SST meeting, the action plan is developed with a number of measurable goals. And so the coordinator would be able to indicate each goal and provide a description summary for the measurable goal along with the target date. So let's go ahead and set a specific goal. So we are going to set for after that 6-week period. The goal is to show improvement for our low test scores. Our target date, we'll just say a week later to observe. The status is in progress. And then again, summarizing the rationale for the goal. We would click on Add Action. And click OK. Now, one question that comes up is, in closing, is how do we print out all the available metrics that are from the SST meeting to us? In order to address that need, you're going to go to the Intervention Details tab, and scrolling down to the bottom, you're going to click on Plan. So here we are going to generate a PDF report. So once it's finished, you can click on View. So note, it lists the student information, the SST meeting, all the stakeholders, and the subsequent information. So again, one item I want to point out again is that stakeholders aspect. So when you go to that stakeholders tab, you link up with classroom teachers and their parents and their counselors. And when you enter that information in this printed format, there will be those nice signature areas that will be available to you. So you can have individuals sign their name, date, and then document this in their CUME file. So note we can have those signatures here present. Now, looking at again at our 7-step process in our flow chart, we can go back and correct at any of these times. Well, thank you again for your attention to the SST Teacher Aeries tutorial.